Action. All right. So this will be a review of primarily mastering change and roles and styles, because remember that structure and life cycles is not actually covered it's not really required for the integrator's training that you'll be attending. So we're not going to focus on this third section, only the first two sections.
Okay. So should we start with roles and styles?
If that's where you want to start? Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump down to section number 2, down here, roles and styles. So which one of these was giving you trouble? And it wasn't clear.
Nothing gave me trouble. It's just that I don't think I'm far enough into the mastering change yet. That's all. But
Okay.
Let's go for it.
Well, I think you know the different roles of management.
Yes, definitely.
Do you know how they're different from the styles of management?
Well, the role is a functional aspect of what's required, whereas the style is more the personality characteristics. And it's the functions that are required, but of course, certain people may have more of a predisposition to the style and the various personality things that go with it, such as their issues around timing, their issues around energy, their issues around questioning and so forth.
Exactly. So you can think of PAEI as having many different applications. One is roles, one is styles, one is the 4 imperatives, and there's many others out there that I won't talk about now. But the reason why, so roles is the conflict between short-term, long-term efficiency and effectiveness. It's in the air. So when I'm going to go buy a car, I got to decide, do I want a big pickup truck, which is going to be very effective, but not so efficient because it's bad on gas mileage, but it's great for carrying around my toys? Or do I want to get a smart car, which is great on gas mileage, but it has no room for any of my toys? It's very efficient, not effective. There's a conflict happening in my own head. That's a conflict of roles.
Yep.
Now, I come to work on time. You come to work a little bit late, and while I go straight to my desk to get to work, you go to the water cooler and you start socializing with everybody on your way to the office, and you don't even get to your desk by, half an hour past the time you're supposed to be there. I'm sitting there. Sorry?
That's more style.
Exactly. So that's personal. The styles is really just I don't like you. It's a personal thing. A roles conflict has nothing to do with our personal issues. It's more just in the air that kind of God created it. The conflict between short-term and long-term exists, and efficiency and effectiveness. So a litmus test to find out if a conflict is a conflict of roles or a conflict of styles would be, let's say you're marketing and I'm accounting, and we're talking about what should the price be of our product. And you're saying, well, we should make it very cheap because you're in sales, let's say, and sales wants to sell more. And that's your role in the organization. I'm saying, no, we need to increase the price so we can make sure we are profitable. That's because I'm watching the numbers. Now, if that argument between us were to, now let's say you and I were sitting across from each other and we switched hats. Now I'm in charge of sales and you're in charge of accounting. If the argument were to switch, you can consider it a roles conflict because it wasn't personal. I was just representing my job and what needs to be done in the organization. Now that I'm in charge of sales, I'm saying, okay, lower the price. And you're saying, no, increase the price. If we switched hats and that argument stayed the same, that's a roles conflict.
That's a nice metaphor, yeah. So do you want me to describe the roles then?
Well, if you know them, I mean, they're pretty easy. PAEI, and you can.
Yeah. That's all good. And I like the efficiency, effectiveness, and short and long term too.
Right. Good. So I'll just pull up here just some slides, just so we can hopefully you can see my screen. It's not too small, but this would be the description of the roles of management. P, provide for client needs, is functional and is effective.
Yep.
Okay. Now we can go into the conflict of roles, which is question number 3.
Yep.
Which is really the conflict between, if we're working very hard, we don't have time to get organized. That's PA.
So PA, so let me just say, PA conflict would be the producer or the purpose role. It's that short term, do it now, got to get the sales in, but I will say sales, but it could be anything, but not at any cost, but with no eye to the efficiency of that, with no eye to what it's costing us to actually get that done. So the conflict is both one of short, or no, not so much. It's both short term, but it's that efficiency versus effect. Sure, we're doing it, but how efficient is it? We could still make a lot of money and go bust.
Right. So we know the conflict effectiveness and efficiency. That's where you want to start.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're starting. That if we try and please all the customers, which is being effective, and kind of bend over backwards for them, we'll probably end up going bankrupt because we're not being efficient.
Yeah.
But if we're overly efficient and we're like, McDonald's, where if you want a medium, medium rare burger with bacon, well, if we're too efficient, we might no longer be able to serve the needs of our clients because we're too narrow, and then we might lose the market as well.
Yeah.
So and then, short-term versus long-term is just, it's too easy. That's like the fisheries. If we fish too much now in the short run, there won't be enough fish for our grandchildren. But if we stop fishing now, so our grandchildren have fish, we'll starve to death today.
Yeah.
So that's the short run, long run. It's an environmental view is a very good one. If we stop burning fossil fuels now, our whole economy will get destroyed.
Yes.
It'll be bad for the short term, it'll be good for the long run. But if we continue to burn as much, a bunch of fossil fuels now, it'll be good in the short run, good for the economy, but bad for the long run if you believe in climate change.
Yeah.
Caused by, burning of fossil fuels. All right, so now we can go from there into the more specifics, which is P versus A, P versus Z, P versus I, and get all nitty gritty inside of here. So let me give you an example of a P versus A conflict. P means if we work very hard every day and we work nonstop, the whole office is going to become a mess. In fact, I'm looking right now at my office and it's a mess because I've been working super hard this last week. I haven't had a chance to get organized. But if we get super organized and everything is in its place and everything is perfect, it'll be so much red tape, we'll get totally stuck. If we're trying to keep it organized, everybody's going to spend all their time trying to keep organization, and we'll get sort of stuck in our own red tape, and we can't get anything done. That's the AP conflict. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep.
And then PE is, if I'm working so hard, I have no time to step away from my desk and see the big picture and be creative. And see that, and kind of think. E is thinking. But if I spend too much time thinking and dreaming, I'm always changing things up, which means I never have a chance to work, to get things done.
Yes.
Now the PI one is an interesting one because P creates change. When we P, we're creating change. We're doing something. And I hates conflict. So the I, when we create change, it causes conflict, which is bad for I.
Or bad for P. Bad for I. Yes. Yeah.
And that's right from the map, right?
Yeah.
If we look at this map here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that right. I'm just kind of doing it for those watching. Where is it? Here we go. Whenever there's change, it creates conflict, and we have 7 different kinds of conflict, which is part of that training. We don't have to get into it now. So that's the P versus I. Now, I versus P is very interesting. In some organizations that are highly bureaucratic and highly political, you can't get anything done unless everybody agrees. There's so much I, because they don't want to piss anybody off because it's so political, that they can't do anything because, I'll give you an example. I actually work with one of these organizations, highly bureaucratic, and it was clear they had a lot of problems. And the solutions were pretty obvious. So, okay, how about we do this? Great idea, Shoham. Let me just go check with Bill. And then we go check with Bill. Oh, that's a great idea. Let me go check with Frank. Everybody is so scared to step on somebody's toes and to do something they want to prove that you need to get everybody's approval before you can make the slightest move.
Yep.
And of course, when has everybody ever agreed on anything? When you wait for consensus, everything slows down, there's no P. Make sense?
Absolutely.
And then we can go into A versus E, which would be, you know, A is all, we get really organized and systematized. There's no room for change. If I'm making pens on the production line and suddenly you're saying, oh, no, people don't want pens anymore, they want markers, well, that change is going to stop all of my A. The more A I have, the more systems I have to make this pen. The moment you change it, everything's going to fall apart. If I had no A and no systems, and you wanted to change from a pen to a marker, it'd be very
easy.
It'd be easy, exactly. And the opposite is true. If there's too much change, we can't get organized.
Yep.
Let's go A versus I. This is a very interesting one. And a good example here is like you're driving down the road with a friend of yours, and your friend is driving too fast. And you say, hey, buddy, slow down or else you're going to get a ticket. And he says, ticket? I'm not going to get a ticket. I went to high school with every policeman in this neighborhood. Now he gets pulled over. If that policeman comes over and says, hey, buddy, how you doing? Long time no see. Kisses, hugs, no ticket. This guy is going to continue to drive fast.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to get in a car accident, which is going to block the highway and cause a huge traffic jam, right? That's not good for short-term efficiency. But in the long run, your friend who drove too fast, he's friends with the police. And when he sees a crime, he's going to tell the police, and he's going to work with them. If he sees some trash on the street, he's going to pick it up because, hey, this is my town. I belong here. It's my place.
Yeah.
Now, if the policeman said, sorry, buddy, you drove too fast. I know we're best friends. I'm still going to give you a ticket. Well, then that guy is going to start slowing down. He's not going to drive as fast and won't get in that car accident. But he's going to start using a derogatory 3-letter word for police, which is, oh, those pigs. You know,
Yeah.
that's what you call them in your country, but that's sort of a derogatory name for police in America. And we start disintegrating with the police. And now when there's a crime, forget the police. I'm not going to help them out. See that disintegration?
Yes. Yeah.
I'll give you one more example because this is actually a true story. One of my stories was when I was in college, I took the bus. I didn't have a car. I remember one day I was taking the bus and there was 2 bus stops kind of close to each other. And I was in the middle. And the bus drove by. I was at the bus stop and I waved him down saying, hey, stop for me. He wouldn't stop. Now, just out of curiosity, in Sydney or wherever you live, would they stop for you?
Sometimes not.
Okay.
It depends. Well, not in Sydney, but in a country town where we know the bus driver, of course they'd stop.
Right. So when I was in Serbia, the exact same thing happened to me. And this was years later, and I kind of learned my lesson. So I kind of gave like a half wave, kind of like, I'm here, I want to get on the bus, but I understand if you can't stop. The guy immediately stopped and opened the doors for me. Let's analyze the difference here. In situation number 1, where the bus did not stop for me, that was more efficient. That was more A in the short run. Because if it stopped in the middle of the road, it would cause a traffic jam behind it. While at the bus stop, there's a turnout lane where the cars can drive by it. So no traffic jam. But of course, I was pissed off. And I said, oh, I hate this town. The bus won't stop for me. And I felt like this wasn't my town. When I was in Belgrade in Serbia, and I gave that half-ass wave, and the bus stopped for me, well, all of a sudden, there was a traffic jam behind him because none of the cars would get around. But when I got on the bus, I was smiling. I was saying hello to everybody, high fives here. You know, it was my town. I felt if there was trash on the ground, I would have picked it up because I feel like I'm a part of this society. Okay?
Okay.
And then you can keep on going, you know, I versus E. You know, the more change, remember, P is the implementation of change. E is the starting point, which is an idea for change. So a highly changing organization, which is constantly restructuring itself, well, that's bad for I as well. The example I use here is, imagine you're sitting at your cubicle and a guy shows up next door to you in the cubicle next to you. Well, you're going to say, hey, how you doing? My name is Shoham, and you know, where are you from? And let's go to lunch together. Let's get to know each other. But in this organization, there's high level of E, which means that every day there's a new project, new change in organization. And that guy you made friends with, 2 days later, he's gone and a new guy is there. All right, you're going to say, hey, how you doing? I'm Shoham. Let's hang out sometime, grab a beer. 2 days later, a new guy. 2 days later, a new guy. Eventually, you're going to say, look, don't even talk to me until you're here for a month.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the conflict of roles.
But it also brings up to how quickly the integration piece can slip.
Very good, very good. There's a question about that somewhere here, which is the easiest to build? Number 14. Which role is the easiest to develop, and which is the easiest to lose?
Yeah.
Number 14 is easiest to develop. I don't know where is easiest to lose. It's somewhere in here. What do you think that is? You want to take a guess?
Well, the easiest to develop, I would think, would be the producer role. You just go and you do it.
Okay. That's a very fair guess, but just one thing is easier than doing it. Making a rule about how to do it.
Oh, okay. So the A role.
The A is the easiest to build. You don't have to do anything. You just have to write up a rule about how to do it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the easiest to blow because of the fickle nature of it is probably the relationship of the I role.
Exactly. One false word.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
So there's a key point here, which I'll make sure you're getting is that while A is the easiest to build, it's also the hardest to lose. Because once you have A in the system, you have the books to change a rule requires everybody to sort of agree and maybe not agree, but everybody be informed and to buy into it. It's a big process to change the rules once it's been implemented. Now, how hard is it to build this common consciousness of we're all in it together and we're all one team? Not so easy to build, but so that's the hardest to build and the easiest to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just go into the point. The point behind the roles of management and the conflict between the roles, just the underlying point, is that what we learn in business school is the need for optimization. Everybody's talking about how do we optimize something. But when we start analyzing the roles conflict, what we realize is there is no optimization, because if you optimize P, you sub-optimize the other roles. If you optimize E, so the right word is not optimization. The right word is finding the right balance. The right balance between efficiency and effectiveness in short-term and long-term. Now realize what that right balance is will change as your environment changes.
And where you are in your business life cycle too.
Exactly, and the product life cycle.
Yeah.
So a good example of a product life cycle one would be the phone. This phone, the iPhone, when it first came out, this phone, it was new in the market, and people were willing to pay a huge premium for it and wait in line for it. So at that time, efficiency was not as important as P. Just deliver, get the phones out there, sell. Now, and the price didn't matter so much. If it costs a lot of money to get a certain component, no big deal, we can sell it. Now that Samsung has their smartphone, now we're in a price, it's commodity. You see that? This has become a commodity. And now the P is not as important as the A. Now we got to be efficient. So over the product life cycle, at first, the balance is on the P side, and then later when it becomes a commodity, it's on the A side, more A.
And this, of course, is also, Jobs saw that and brought in Scully to help with the A side. And then, of course, Apple became so A, it lost its, not so much its P, it lost its E.
Right.
And of course, Steve Jobs then went on and did E with Pixar and so forth. So yeah, I can see it's a great model.
Let's just talk. What is the backup behavior of a P? Number 8. I'm jumping to now. Do you know this?
the backup behavior. I mean, under stress, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Under stress. Backup behavior means if they're under stress.
What a P will just keep doing.
Okay, but what is their specific? There's 4 words. There's a word for each one for PAEI. And sorry, go ahead.
Is that like the Lone Ranger? Is that what you mean?
No, that's the nickname for a pure P. So here, let me, hopefully you can see my screen. And 1 second, there's a function here, which is the zoom function. How come I'm not able to zoom? But so this is something we're going to give you when you come to the training. It's called the Adizes reference guide. I like to call it the cheat sheet. And up here, what you'll see is it has all the information that you might need in one place. Something is wrong with my computer. It's still loading is what's happening. Okay, still loading. Give me a second. But if you look here, it'll tell you, there you go. Now you can see. So this is like a cheat sheet, and it's fully available online. That's why you can wait until you get to Santa Barbara, and I'll give you one. But for now, you can just take a look at this. And do you see here, oops, upper right-hand corner, backup behavior?
Right. No, I hadn't seen that before.
So what it's saying is that when a P feels like they're being attacked or things not going their way, they say, all right, shut up. This is what's going to happen. You're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and that's it. Because the P is afraid of wasting time. That's their biggest fear. The fear is not getting something done, not checking off their checklist, So if they feel like things are going wrong, they just want to get things done, so they think that just dictating is going to be the easy way out. While if the A feels like they're in trouble, they're in a backup, what they do is this. Maybe you can see me in the camera. It's this. It's called stone.
Yeah.
And they don't say anything. So typically the E thinks the A is agreeing with them, because for the E, silence means agreement.
Yes.
But for the A, silence means disagreement. So the A is sitting there very quietly, but what's happening is in their mind, they're actually writing in their little black book that, Mitch did this to me December 21st, 2016, and they start writing in their head, and they're never going to forget it. And they're going to hold a grudge forever. That's the A's backup. They withdraw, but remember.
Right.
The E
attacks.
Yeah, it's personal. They'll talk about your mom. One of my favorite ones was, I heard the guy say, he says, well, they obviously didn't teach this to you in the second-rate university you attended.
Wow.
Like just a slight little jab there. That's the E. And it could get much worse, with 4-letter words and all kinds of stuff like that. And the I submits, which is, okay, you're right.
Yep.
Okay. One more thing I wanted to point out to you, which is something you're not going to find really in the books. It's in the How to Solve the Mismanagement Crisis, which is one of the books that people don't. It's very easily missed because it's kind of hidden in one of the chapters. But here you can find the 9 characteristics of a good manager.
Wow.
So maybe you want to look those over real quick, which is well-rounded, knows the self, is aware of effect on others, has balanced view of oneself. Just notice here that there's no thing about is an expert in the field they work in.
I can't see this too. Oh, wait a minute. There we are. Okay.
I can make it bigger 1 second.
No, I got it now. I've made it a bit bigger. Oh, it's gone.
There it is. Sorry.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Will we be looking at these in our work at all?
No, not so much. I'm just kind of pointing it out to you because it's kind of something we don't talk about too much.
Right.
So this is not really going to be covered too much in our conversations. I don't even think it's really going to come up. We're going to be mostly focusing on managerial process.
Okay. Because this is more what I've been used to. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about. Okay, let me give you some examples of exam questions you're going to get regarding roles. It's going to be something like, just do it. Which role is this most associated with?
P.
Right. Well, can't we all just get along?
I.
Okay, those are the kind of questions you might expect. How about this? We are only open from 9 to 5.
A.
Good. Okay. Let's go back to the questions. Okay, how can you predict the quality of a decision before it's implemented?
The sequencing. Is this what we're? Is this CAPI? Are we looking at here or not?
Okay, so this is how can you predict the quality of a decision before it's implemented? So let's just because you're kind of cueing a very common misunderstanding. So it's perfect because CAPI has to do not with decision making, but decision implementing. And this is asking about quality of decisions before the quality of the decision, not the quality of the implementation.
Okay, well, I guess we would like to think that people have thought about it, both the short and the long term consequences of the decision, and how effective the decision is and how efficient it is. So I guess have we actually touched on all 4 different decision focuses, lenses, roles?
Is that it? Is there something more?
I guess at the bottom line is the mutual trust and respect. How much was there that we actually listened to each other, because we can put that forward, whether we've actually listened to that. And so I suppose the bottom line is the mutual trust and respect, and therefore respecting those different roles or functions or styles. What else? I'm just off the top of my head.
No, you got it. You got it. Let me just correct you a little bit here, because you're absolutely right. You got it. Just one thing, let me just give you what you're missing. So the first thing you said was really that we're looking at all PAEI aspects of the problem and the solution. The way we call that is a complementary team, because no individual can look at all 4 of these at the same time, which, by the way, is question number 5. Is anyone ever a PAEI? The answer to that question is yes. But when you look at the paragraph, at the same time, it's no, because I can be a PAEI over the course of a day. In the morning, I'm having breakfast with my family, I'm I. When I'm at work, I'm pure PA. And then I get home and I dream at night and I'm E. So we can change over the course of a day. But at one point in time, I can't hold all 4 conflicting roles in my mind at the same time. So how can we predict the quality of a decision before it's implemented? The answer is, was there a complementary team?
Right, right.
But that's not enough, because we could get in the complementary team and the E starts telling me how stupid I am, and I withdraw and just shut up, and now the E makes a decision and thinks I bought into it. We had a complementary team, but somebody steamrolled us. Are you familiar with that word, steamrolling?
Yep, yep.
So they just kind of like pushed through and didn't allow me to speak. In that case, it'll be a bad decision, even though we had a complementary team. Therefore, we need one more ingredient, which is mutual respect, but not trust. So let me explain you why that is. Imagine that there's a firewall going down below management, going through to conflict. There's a firewall between the democracy of decision-making and the dictatorship of implementing. So a big, Chinese wall between the 2 of these.
Yep, yep.
And respect falls on the deciding side of the table. To make good decisions, we have to have respect for each other. That means that you didn't steamroll me, you listened to me. You respected that I have a different opinion from you, and that you could learn from that different opinion. I have a different point of view. But trust really has nothing to do with that side of the equation. We don't have to trust each other to talk to each other. I mean, this is a discussion for the ages. Is it necessary or not? And so it's not going to be on the exam because we haven't agreed ourselves. And, my dad's going back and forth on, what comes first, trust or respect, and is trust necessary for respect? The example I would give you is from the movie Patton with George C. Scott. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Do you remember when he's fighting Rommel and he beats Rommel and he says,
I read your book.
Exactly, I read your book, which shows respect, right? They respected each other, but they couldn't trust each other because they're on opposite sides of the war. Now, on the other side, my little brother, I trust him because I know his heart is in the right place. He's a good kid, but he's a little kid, and he might run out in the middle of the street without looking both ways, because that's what little kids do. He might put poison in his mouth. So while I trust him, I don't really respect him because he's not mature enough. So I can see how you could have one without the other. So back to the question here is, how do you predict the quality of a decision before it's implemented? Was there a complementary team, and was there mutual respect? Now, how can you predict the quality of a decision, the quality of implementation of a decision? And the answer is, was there CAPI involved with decision-making process, and was there mutual trust?
Right. Yep. Yep. So we are going to trust each other. I love the eyes looking inward for the decision and the eyes looking outward for the implementation, because we don't have to look at each other, because we trust each other to get on with it. And we trust each other because CAPI, coalescence, authority, power and influence were present.
Well, we trust each other not because they were present, but because we believe in a common long-term mutual win-win.
Right, right.
If we have the faith that there is because there's no win-win right here and now. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But in the long run, we can find that common win-win. And if there's faith in that common win-win, we will trust each other.
Okay.
So let's go to 10. What is the P function of a hospital?
Make sure the patients are treated and stay alive.
So heal the sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heal the sick. Yeah.
So let me tell you what's behind this question is that's true if it's a traditional hospital. But I don't know about you guys over there, but here in LA, we have the UCLA hospital. And it's not a hospital for healing the sick. It's a student hospital. So that's where all the students go to learn how to be doctors. So their P function is not so much healing the sick, but educating the doctors. Do you see that?
Yes.
And then there's other hospitals out there which are called research hospitals.
Which would have an E function.
Right. Their P function is to do E work, which is come up with new vaccines and new procedures, whatever it is.
And then community health could be I.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just a way to look at it. The P function might be PAEI or I. We don't know. You have to look a little bit deeper and analyze what is this hospital really doing? What kind of hospital is it?
Mm. So would the A function be to train doctors?
Good question. Training doctors, depends on what kind of training we're giving them. I don't know if you can necessarily put it, I'll say training could be E also.
It could be, if you were talking to them about how the hospital works, the rounds, the roles and responsibility of the nurse unit managers versus the emergency ward or whatever. Yeah.
That's A.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to try 11?
Try question 11. An organisation is losing money. What is the typical P solution? Sell more, sell more, sell more. What's a typical A solution? Cash flow, look at efficiencies, tighten things, cost cut.
Right.
What's an E solution? More different channels, different markets, different lines of business. What's an I solution? We need to have a team meeting.
Right. How are we going to work together?
Work together, yeah.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure, because in Dr. Adizes' lectures, he talks about this idea of the I solution. I don't know if you read the book about the xylophone and how the I solution, the P solution for the xylophone problem is, just get them a new toy. So that way one kid's got a xylophone and one kid's got a drum to play with. Quick solution. The A solution would be to split up the time. You get it for an hour, you get it for an hour. The E solution is saying, forget the xylophone, let's go see a movie. And the I solution would be to lock the two kids in the bathroom and have them come up with figure it out for themselves.
Yeah.
I just want to stress that people read that book and they think that the I solution is the right solution. But I just want to stress, as the recipient of that solution, that wasn't the right solution, because at the end of the day, it didn't solve anything. It just showed the kids that nobody's going to come help you and it's not worth fighting over, and just kind of, it actually caused disintegration. So imagine that we have a trouble with a company and we're losing money, and we say, okay, let's all get together and let's all figure it out together. You're going to end up with the company's still going to go bankrupt. If you go for the P solution and just sell more, you could be selling yourself into a hole. You're still going to go bankrupt. If you go for the A solution alone and just cut costs, your customers are going to leave you because you're not providing the services they need. You're going to go bankrupt. If you go do something totally different, you're also going to go bankrupt, because there's a whole new cost associated with that. Who says that's going to be successful? And the I solution also is going to make you go bankrupt. The true solution, the best solution, is not any individual solution, but a balance of all four of them. That's the point.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So 12 we already answered, right?
Well, no, yeah, because we talked about how you could be all four during the day.
Right.
Something at breakfast, something at night, whatever. Yep.
Now, people might say it's like a nature versus nurture. People say that you're kind of born with a certain style. I don't know if that resonates with me, simply because in my life cycle so far, I've really seen a drastic change in my style. I mean, I think I've been all the way through all four of these already. Now, people say that, well, you could tell what is the true sort of born with style that somebody has when you see them in their backup behavior. So if I were to get you in a backup behavior and see how you act, we would call that sort of as your natural style. But obviously, don't try and piss people off just so you can figure out their style.
I think for me, when I was in Price Waterhouse, and it wasn't, or certainly it was my billings, my partner used to jump up and down about the week and have you got your billings in and so forth. And I just used to think that was just crazy, because I was out there making all this money for Price Waterhouse. Then, of course, when I started my own business, there's a little thing called cash flow.
Right.
Which was just, do we bill? How quickly do we bill? Do we chase the money? Debtors, etc., etc. So my point being is, and I had to quickly change. Maybe it wasn't my natural style, but I had to certainly quickly change, and in regard to the context and the situation around me. So yeah, we do change. But my personal opinion is there's probably a psychological fingerprint that is more predictive of certain styles than others.
I'm sure I agree with you for sure. So let's just talk about natural transition to 13, which I think you'd probably be able to answer quite easily. As a coach, how would you help someone develop more P, A, E, or I?
I'd probably, first of all, explain the importance of each one, that no one's more important than each other, and that if you want to be a great leader and run a great business, it's important that you at least know about them. Then what I would do is I'd have a look at the thinking behind each one, and the behaviours. So I would basically have a look at looking at several behaviours that people would need to develop under P, under A, under E, and under I. Maybe give them some triggers to actually look at when they should be thinking that way. Also, maybe get them to start to look at other people on their team that are doing it as well, so they could see what a role model was. So be an awareness of others. What else would I do? Well, that'll do for the moment.
That's all very good. I would just add the idea of use it or lose it, like a muscle. So if you want to develop P is associated with a trade. You can't just be a P without having some kind of trade that you know how to do something, right? So if I want you to develop your P, I got to teach you how to run the machine or something. So sending somebody to a trade school or a school specific for that job they're expected to do is going to help them develop their P. because now they're going to learn like a trade school how to do everything. If you want to develop your A, I would say clean up your desk, clean up your office, develop a new filing system. That's how you develop your A, is by practicing it. To develop your E would be, you have to step away from the office, go for a hike, get out of the office, see the big picture. And really the best thing to do to develop your E, depending on the industry, obviously, is to go to that Las Vegas technological fair or whatever, any one of these like future fairs where you could see the latest technologies and where the future is going. That'll definitely increase your E, right?
Yep.
And then I is like, they have so many classes, how to win friends and influence people. Carnegie, that would be an I class, right? Oh, I just got some great coaching from my brother, who's a huge I, about how to develop my I. He says, whenever you write an email, use the sandwich approach. Have you heard about this?
Yes. A lovely little hi, Shoham. Lovely to see you again. You're looking great today in your denim. And then finish it off with a lovely comment at the end.
Right. So, Brad, you look wonderful. Great to talk to you. Hope you're doing a great Christmas. Me, I got to talk to you about this, this, and this, and this. And then hope everything is well. Let's talk again soon. Send my regards to your wife. That's the sandwich approach. So I decided to use that to help my eye. Okay.
How's it working for you?
I haven't been screamed at recently, but I'm still single, so who knows?
Oh, okay.
16. Next. I'm jumping 15 because I think there's not really much there. I mean, you could just see that like P and E are both effective. A and I are both efficient. P and A are both short-term. E and I are both long-term. But AE are conflicting both short-term and long-term, and efficiency and effectiveness. Same with PI. So those are sort of opposites of each other.
Right.
So that's I mean,
got that.
16,
I think, is 16 is best summed up by the chair metaphor versus the losing a finger one. In that mechanistic, three-legged chair, you take away the leg, and although we're conscious of it, it now doesn't work as a chair in terms of the function of a chair. Whereas a hand, you lose a finger, it will adapt organically. It can still be a hand, even though it's missing one of the parts of a hand, being a finger. So I guess in organisational terms, a mechanistic conscious organisation, if a process is broken or doesn't work, then the whole business can fall down. Whereas organic, it can adapt. I can give you a great example there of a factory we worked with where they were very mechanistic, and they had long runs rather than short run manufacturing lines. And so if one line broke down, which is all they had, the whole business broke down. They changed that line. They changed the building to have 5 lines, 5 small lines, and they were doing less runs. But if one broke down, it was just exactly like the fingers. They were more able to consciously adapt, if you like.
Mm-hmm. So just remember that the key thing here is the need for external intervention to solve their problems.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So you look at the human body, right now there's viruses and bacteria attacking my body, but my body is fighting it off successfully without me even being aware of it taking place. It doesn't need external intervention. While a mechanical organization, there's the smallest problem, and now they have to go all the way to the CEO, and the CEO has got to be aware of it, and they have to make a decision about it, and they got to put energy towards it. Me, I'm putting zero energy towards the bacteria and viruses attacking me now. Well, the CEO has got to do, it's got to take all kinds of effort. So example was from that Friesa video. Did you watch that Friesa video yet?
Which one's that one? Probably not.
That was the half-hour documentary about one of our clients. It's in triplicate. It's got like 3 different screens on.
Haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well, the example there is that they were hit by a hurricane. It flooded their manufacturing facility. They had about 3 feet or a meter of mud all over the manufacturing facility. And kind of the highlight of that whole documentary is that everybody showed up to work the next day with their wives and children holding buckets and shovels. Nobody told them to bring buckets and shovels. Nobody told them to bring their wives. Nobody told them to do anything. They just started working on their own because of the organic nature of it.
Is that a bit like 9/11? There was papers on that there was absolutely nothing written as to what people did, but somehow it just happened in terms of the response to 9/11.
Exactly. And they did it on their own. There was no need for hierarchy.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, here's a very good one, number 17. If an organization does not have enough A, which role can make up for the lack of A?
Well, I guess if we're looking at efficiency primarily, maybe I can. So you have, I've seen, I'm working with one organisation now, and what's coming through is, yeah, look, we haven't got systems, but because we've got such great relationships, we can counter that. Unfortunately, as it's growing, those relationships are not as robust as they could be, so they're very vulnerable. So I would say I.
You're absolutely right, and your analogy is right on. The analogy we typically use is very similar. It's the Mexican company, which is typically family run. So if your grandfather, 7 sons, every son's got 7 grandsons. The sons are the middle managers, the grandsons are the line workers, the grandfather's the boss. Every Sunday they're together having a barbecue. Notice that they don't need A. They don't need somebody to watch over the grandsons to make sure the grandsons are not stealing money from the company. Because if the grandsons steal money from the company, they're stealing from their own family, which is stealing from themselves. So that's I.
Yeah.
Me and the company are the same. But what happens when one of the grandsons gets married to a girl from the other side of the tracks? Or one false word at the family barbecue? Or the business grows very fast because there's no need for A. There's no need for oversight. Eventually, they run out of family members. They have to hire somebody off the street, somebody with his own family, somebody with their own interests. Now the I falls apart, and now you need A.
Mm. It's a great metaphor.
So you're aware of the 5 mismanagement styles. There's not 4, there's 5. There's actually many more, but there's a mismanager is anybody with a gap in their style.
Yeah, yeah.
But the 5 typical mismanagement styles are, you can see my number 20, P000, 0A00, 0E00, 000I, and then finally, this one. You know what this one's called?
Which was what, the 0000?
Yeah. That's Deadwood.
Deadwood, yeah. I love the concept that capital P, capital A, capital E, capital I is a textbook manager.
Right.
Only seen in a textbook, yeah. So no, I'm pretty, and basically, yeah, you've got, and I also like the thing that's, although we're talking about extremes, it's only certain degrees here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even a P uppercase to a lowercase P.
Right. It's all theory, really. I mean, you really wouldn't expect somebody to get the zeros in their style in reality unless they were put in a position like, like caged, like somebody who's on a production line all their lives and they never saw anything other than just putting, just doing this one movement. If you don't use it, you lose it. Right? That's how you become a Deadwood. Or anyone.
So what's the personality needs of a 0000?
Okay, it's survival.
Right. Personality needs of a P is what, produce?
No,
or is that more the function?
That's the function. The need of a P, and I can speak to this because that's definitely my style, is the need to achieve. I really want to be able to say, like, look, I did this today, or I've accomplished this in the short run. That's the P.
Right.
I see it's not actually on this chart here, so I'm going to skip that. So the P is they need to achieve. Anybody that you see that's like an athlete, you can assume that they have a strong P orientation, because an athlete really has to work out every day. You know, even when they're sick, even when they're tired, you got to be consistent, at least at a high level. If you're gonna be a high level athlete. I mean, there's obviously other sports like golf, maybe not so much P. I'm talking about like, you know, more physical oriented sports, football, wrestling, that kind of stuff. In A, that might be something more for golf because that's more of a preciseness game. It's not hard work, it's more of being precise. But what is the need of the A? The need of the A is to control. I want to have control over my life. I want to control the things that I'm doing, right?
And the E to create?
To leave a legacy, to create and leave. It's really to live forever. The reason why they're creating is so that way they can create something that's going to exist beyond their lifespan, so that way they can kind of live forever.
Is the I to be loved or to be accepted?
Yeah, to be, to belong, yeah.
To belong, right.
Yeah. So a P starts a business because they have to do something. They're bored. They want to do something. An A doesn't really start a business. If they do, it's because they want to control something. The E starts a business because they want to leave a legacy. That's the most common. And the I starts a business so they can hang out with their friends.
Right.
Let's talk about the fears of each one of these. What's the biggest fear of a P? Of a P000?
Just not achieving.
Wasting time.
Pardon, sorry?
Wasting time.
Oh, wasting time. Right.
Yeah. And the A?
Wasting money.
It's risk. They're scared of risk.
Oh, risk. Okay, yeah, risk. Yeah.
And the E?
Status quo, that nothing will change.
The E is deathly afraid of details.
Okay.
They can't stand the details. If you want to piss off an E, start talking details.
Yep.
And the I is afraid of conflict.
Rejection.
It's conflict.
Conflict.
Well, rejection is conflict. I mean, it's a type of conflict.
Yeah. Very good.
I want to just show you on this subject something that many people miss, which is definitely on the exam, and it's sort of like an easy one to miss, and yet it's worth quite a few points because there might be more than one question on it. Let me just find the slide here. It's the different types of mixes of the styles. So I'm just looking for, here we go. Oh no, that's not the right one, sorry. This one right here. Nice and big for you.
Yep.
You see it?
No, I just lost it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's back again now.
So we know this left-hand column, the mismanagers, right?
Yes.
And we know this is the one that people forget about, the producer, administrator, contributor, integrator, perfect manager. And we're saying here is a leader has to have a big I.
Yes, and be good at least at one of the others. Right.
So I would just suggest maybe that you want to just take a minute and write these down real quick, because I don't know if you have them in your book.
No.
I think that might be on the exam. So imagine them saying like, a person with a small p, small a, big E, big I is option A, the guide, option B, the smooth administrator, option C, the teacher, option D, the good right hand or the shepherd, option E, all the above, option F, none of the above. Got it?
Yeah, I think I've taken out PAEI, right? Put PAEI, capital PAEI, PAEI, PAEI. Yeah, so just the dead and the codes. Yep, got it.
So how does someone become deadwood?
Well, they just don't use. How do they? They just don't miss. They don't use.
Right. You don't use it, you lose it. So let me give you some examples here. If you, so let's deal specifically with, let's say, how does a P000 become deadwood? Well, if I'm a P, I'm working on a manufacturing line all my life. I never developed my A, E, or I. Now they change the machine. Now I don't know how to use the machine. I don't have enough E to go and learn how to use the new machine, and I become deadwood.
Right.
The A here, 0A00, if you change the books, because the A lives and dies by the rule book. If you just change the rule book, they become deadwood. So imagine a lawyer, if they change all the laws, but they don't have enough E to sort of relearn and restudy, they can become deadwood very fast. Then the E00E0, they become deadwood because over time, they have all these great ideas, but nothing happens because of them. They lose credibility. And you need credibility to be an E. People got to listen to you. That's the worst punishment for an E, is being ignored. While a P or an A doesn't care. Please ignore me. Let me get my work done. The I, they only have the I, and people eventually also lose credibility. That was kind of like the Obama thing. Everybody's saying Obama lost credibility because in his first term, even though he had the Senate and the House of Representatives, he didn't try and get anything done because he didn't want to piss off the Republicans. And then everybody said, look, he's not doing anything. So he lost all credibility.
So why is the term perfect manager for a 0000?
No, it's deadwood for a 0000.
Yeah, but you've got name. If you go.
Sorry, should I go back to that slide?
Yeah, go back to that slide.
No, you're looking at you're looking at the wrong side here. I'll show you once I can get this one big for you. See, this is deadwood here. Deadwood here, 00 here. Perfect manager refers to, you have to go to the right.
Well, that just shows so much about me because I've left out a whole column.
Do you want to take a second and fill that in?
Yeah. So PAEI, small PAEI, contributor PAEI, integrator PAEI, perfect manager PAEI. Yeah, gotcha. Sorry. That's a really good sheet, that one.
Mm-hmm. So this is another one you'll see on the test, 22. To what style of management does the following expression apply? He can't see the forest from the trees.
An A.
An A or a P, perhaps, one of the two.
Well, yeah, I guess a P can at least. An A is basically looking. I would say more of an A than a P, but I can see how it's also P because they're so short term.
Mm-hmm. If there's a situation like that in the exam where it can be both,
right,
then you'll only see an option for P or A. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So how would you communicate with the different styles, mismatch styles?
Describe the 5. Where are we up to? Sorry.
Sorry, 23.
Okay, so POO, I just talked about what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. So with the P, start at the end.
Sorry?
With a P, you start at the end.
Oh, okay.
You start with the punchline, and then you come back and fill in the blanks. But you can't come in and try and reason with them and try and like give them a lot of background information. They'll just look at you and get pissed.
Yep.
Now,
here's what we need to do.
Now, how is that different from an A?
You'd start at the how we need to do it.
Well, with an A, you start at the beginning of time. You start with Adam and Eve. You give them all the precedents, all of the context, and then you hit the punchline.
Right. E, you start at the end of time.
Right. With the E, you give them your big idea, but you leave one glaring, obvious mistake. One glaring, obvious oversight. The E will say, it's good, but you forgot this. Oh, that's very good addition. Thank you. Now it's their idea, not your idea, and now it will go through.
Yep.
You got to leave room for them to put their fingerprints on it, and you can't make it, because the E is scared of the details because they're also scared of being boxed in. They like flexibility. So when you're dealing with an E, it's important to leave some flexibility for them to sort of make it their own. Don't box them in. With the I, what you would do is you'd say, hey, Mitch, I've been walking around the office and I've talked with nearly everybody in the office. We had a lot of meetings and we all agree that the right solution is this. You see that?
Yep.
Now, if you did that to an E and you walked into an E's office and said, I went around the office, I spoke with everybody, and we all agree the solution is this, he's going to say, what? You went around behind my back and spoke with everybody? You see that?
Yeah.
It's a whole different mentality. Deadwood, I don't know. There's no real way to talk to a Deadwood. There's somewhere around here which is define the miscommunication between the different styles. I don't know where that went. But you know about the yes, no? Are you aware about how yes and no mean different things for the different styles?
No.
Okay. If a P says yes, what do they mean? Yes. If a P says,
so. Yep.
And if a P says no, they mean no. The P is just clear. They don't, I don't want to say lie, but they don't manipulate. They don't change things up. They wear themselves, everything's on their sleeve. They're very open. Now an A, if you go to an A, a bureaucrat, and you say, hey, I have a great idea on how we can make $1 million, what are they going to say?
Show me how.
Right, they're going to say no because they want more information.
Yeah.
They say no, but what they're really saying is maybe tell me more. And then if you give the A all the information to the point where there's no more risk, and you finally get them to say yes, that yes is not a maybe. That yes is a yes. And you can take that yes to the bank with an A. Now in E, if you go to an E and you say, look, I have an idea on how we can make $1 million, what are they going to say?
Yes, let's do it.
Yes. But they're not saying yes. They're saying, tell me more. Give me more. It's a maybe. Now, if an E says no, it's very hard for an E to say no. But if they say no, that's a no. So here's the joke about the A and the E. Husband and wife are having breakfast. The wife says, big A. The wife's an A, the husband's an E. The wife says, hey, it's been so long since we've gone on vacation. Let's go on vacation. And the husband says, yes. He goes to work. That whole day, she's making plans. She's finding hotels, making reservations, finding babysitters, making travel arrangements. He comes back for dinner and she says, look, we're going to go to, whatever, let's say Brisbane for a holiday. He says, what holiday? What vacation? Do you know how much work I have to do? But this morning you said yes. I didn't say yes. I said yes. See, he said maybe. And she heard yes.
Yeah.
So now when an E goes to talk to an A, and they say, I have an idea, and the A says no, the E gets really pissed off because for them, no means no. They don't understand that the A is saying, maybe, get me more information. Now an I is a politician. And a politician, like in high I cultures, like in Japan, they'll never say no. They always say yes. They say yes, but. So for them, for I, yes means maybe, and even no means maybe. You don't have no idea what they're talking about. They're political.
Yes, I get it.
Okay. Let's do a quick exercise. I'm going to take out a piece of paper here. Hopefully you can see this. And I'm going to write here on one side, I'm writing is, want, should. And then the next column, so it's like this. In the next column, is this backwards for you or is this, oh, sorry, I'm going the wrong one.
I can just see that is what want and should, yep.
Okay, now I'm adding another column, which is going to be PAEI, and then another column, which is going to be CAPI. And I'm going to show this to you so you can sort of follow along. Does that look?
Yep.
Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to do like one of those childhood exams, which is which one is most like the other. Let's start with PAEI and is, want, and should. Is most associated with which PAEI style? Who's the most who looks the world the way it is?
The P.
Right, so now I'm going to draw an arrow going like that. How about who looks at the world the way they want it to be?
That would be the E.
Right? So want goes to E. And who looks at the world the way it should be?
I guess the A for sure, and a little bit about the I too.
So you got it right here, PAE. Now let me talk about the I. The I is a politician. They are constantly changing their perception of reality to best avoid conflict.
Right.
They're trying to agree with you, and you're saying, you know what? This, whatever it is you're going to say, they're going to find a way to interpret it using is, want, and should, so that way they can agree with you and therefore avoid any kind of confrontation. And if you listen to politicians, they're masters of mixing up is, want, and should. I mean, look no further than our all men are created equal, which is, in our Declaration of Independence.
Yep.
United States. I mean, is that reality? Considering some people are born homeless with one arm missing, and some people are born, daughters of kings and queens. I don't think they are born equal. They should be born equal. We want them to be born equal. So you see how they're mixing up is, want, and should just in that statement.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's take the next step and ask C of CAPI. What is this most associated with in PAEI terms?
I.
Right, so it's coalescing. How about the A of CAPI?
The authority would be
Where do you
I guess is it probably A?
Right, because authority gets their authority from the books.
Yeah.
The legal documentation of the organization, which says you have a board of directors, which has ownership, and they hire the CEO, which delegates authority. It's all from the books. So that's why A of PAEI and A of authority go together. Now P of power.
I would say that's the producer. in terms of doing it now. And I'd say that the E is the influence.
Perfect. So P is the producer. Power is the producer because power is the ability to grant or withhold expected cooperation. So who do we expect cooperation from? The workers. That's the P. The guy's doing the job. I expect you to do your job. That means you have power over me because I'm expecting something from you. The more I expect from you, the more power you have over me, right? And then I is influence. And of course, who has the most influence? It's these creative types. Well, they're big ideas. So this is just a nice little tool to kind of put it all together.
Great.
Okay. Let's just see what else we can, what other damage we can do here. I think that's really it for the roles and styles questions. Did you have any that you wanted to go over? I kind of gave you some highlights here, but maybe there's some that you don't know.
Nah, that was really great. That was very good.
Okay. So maybe we should, you want to try and give this exam a try, and then we can talk about the other questions another time? Or do
I think, when do I go online for the exam, don't I?
Right. So, I'm just going to stop the video recording. 1 second.